Hello my darlings, and welcome back to my channel. You're joining me today for my 2026 top 10 most wearable trends video. Every single time I come to do this video, and I think this is the 11th year of doing a trend roundup video, can you believe it? Every single year I think, is it something that I still want to spend the time researching and putting together? Because I'm not gonna lie, every year I think to myself that my wardrobe becomes more and more timeless and less impacted by the trends. But is that the reality, or do I just really like to have those trends somewhere tucked away in the back of my mind so that they can subtly influence not necessarily what I'm buying, but how I'm styling my outfits on a day-to-day basis? So here we are, the 2026 most wearable trends video. I have to say, I found this video really quite challenging to research because this year, more than ever, it just seems like we have so many trends being thrown at us. The world of retail is a crazy place. We're being told to buy this, don't wear that. And to be honest, I think every trend you could possibly imagine appeared on a what's in 26 list, but also appeared on a what's out in 2026 list. So my moral of the story is, if you love something, wear it, and don't worry if it's ticking the box of being on trend or not. If you feel comfortable and amazing in something, then wear it, because chances are it probably is on trend. So even with all of that said, I think it's nice to know maybe the trends that are the most predominant throughout the year, just so that they can subtly influence how you put together your outfits every single day. This doesn't mean going out and spending a ton of money on a whole new wardrobe. You've probably got things in your wardrobe that will really tick a lot, if not all, of these boxes. And in some situations, in some of these trends, it's actually more how you style your pieces than what you're actually wearing, which I think is really interesting. If you are new to my channel, then hello and welcome. My name is Josie. I used to share a lot of fashion videos, but now my channel is actually mostly vlogs. I share 2 vlogs a week on Wednesdays and Sundays of my life here in the Cotswolds in the English countryside. So you'll find videos that are hopefully very relaxing, very chill to watch, a mixture of gardening and cooking and just daily pottering about. So I hope you'll join me for that. Do subscribe if that sounds like the kind of thing you would enjoy, and you can see how I'm styling these trends in a very wearable way for life in the English countryside. So without further ado, let's get started with trend number 1, and that is bold block colours. Now, wasn't it Miranda Priestley in The Devil Wears Prada that said florals for spring, groundbreaking? Well, that's not the case this year. I know, shock horror, faints in shock. I will still be wearing florals for spring, trust me. However, if you were to follow the catwalks, the likes of Loewe, Dior and Fendi, we're not seeing the pretty, delicate florals that I certainly love and know so very well. It's all about those really striking block colours. Now, I had my colours analysed recently. A lovely lady named Camilla came to the house and she did a colour analysis for me. And boy oh boy, I feel like this trend, I'm now going to be able to interpret it in a way that's best for what looks good for my skin tone, my hair colour, etc., in a way that I never would have been able to before. It was such a fascinating experience. Let me know down below if you've also had a colour analysis done and whether you were surprised by the results. It turns out I just should not wear black, which was actually not too surprising for me to hear. But anyway, the catwalks were awash with rainbow bright colours. We're talking bright yellow, almost, but not importantly, not neon, reds, oranges, greens, real block colours. And actually, I do think that this is quite a wearable trend when it comes to block colours. Now, I'm not going to stand too far back because I actually have the audacity to be filming a trend video wearing leggings and a cozy jumper. That is my vibe in January. But technically I'm wearing a block colour. Yes, it is just off-white, but whatever your favourite colour or whatever your colour analysis says you could be wearing, it could be a really vibrant red. And even within the red spectrum, there are so many tones of red. Some of us, like myself, suit a slightly more warm tone red, and then you can get some reds that have got more of a bluey bluey undertone, and you don't have to spend hundreds of pounds getting a colour analysis. Maybe next time you're walking down a high street, pop into a store and just grab a few different block colours and hold them up to your face and see which ones make you look super healthy and awake and glowing, and which ones almost make you look tired. And that's a really easy way of seeing what kind of colours work for you. You probably intuitively already know this. If you want to replicate this trend, have a look through your wardrobe and see if you've got any block colours, but a simple way of starting would be to get one bold block colour piece and pair it with your favourite neutral. It may not be black, it could be, in my case, a cream or a white or a really lovely espresso brown. As a general rule, when I'm trying to find a way of making a new trend work for me, I pair that trend piece with a piece in my wardrobe that I'm already really comfortable with and really familiar with as a way of easing myself in. Trend number 2. A few of you may roll your eyes at this because it's something that we have been hearing for probably the last 5 years, I think, and it is quite luxury. But the reason that I've included it is because, number 1, it is so incredibly wearable, and number 2 is that just because a trend has been around for a while shouldn't mean that we don't continue wearing it. A trend like quiet luxury works so well because it's a kind of trend that no matter your budget or your style, I'm sure we're all able to make quiet luxury work for us and our lifestyle. For someone that used to live in the city but now lives in the countryside, those more relaxed silhouettes and neutral colours, I just absolutely love them. And I would say that 90% of my wardrobe, as you can see from the very neutral colours on the rails behind me, that is what I lean to in my everyday outfits. So this year, in 2026, quiet luxury is not so much about the beige, it's more about those warm tones, those espressos if you are of a warm kind of colour palette, or those charcoal greys if you are more of a cool toned palette. So leaning into different shades as seen on the catwalks by brands such as Jil Sander and Toteme for lots of amazing inspiration. We're seeing lots of beautiful textures, lots of lovely shapes, and some very subtle warmth in the colours for quiet luxury in 2026. I think it's a trend that so many of us probably already adhere to without even thinking about it, which is a bonus. Trend number 3 is another one that I absolutely love, but it can be a slippery slope, and that is elevated athleisure. Now, there's one brand that definitely springs to mind when I think of an elevated, slightly sporty outfit, and that will be 𝑽𝒑𝒑𝒠. I absolutely love 𝑽𝒑𝒑𝒠 pieces. I just swooned over all of their alpine imagery that they were sharing before Christmas. So the trends are zip-up knits, tailored loungewear trousers, and polished trainers. But the slippery slope is you don't want to go head to toe because that can look a little bit scruffy, a little bit lazy. So pick one elevated athleisure piece per outfit. So a way of styling this could be, for example, I'll show you on the screen here some visual examples. It could be your tailored comfortable trousers with a silk t-shirt or a blouse, or even a smart shirt. It could be a zip-up knit with a smart pair of high-waisted trousers. And what I loved on the catwalk from brands like Ferragamo and Miu Miu and 𝑙𝑜𝑒𝑣𝑒 was seeing how they paired elevated athleisure with luxury craftsmanship. I think if you're going to wear a more relaxed outfit, then maybe sharpen up your look with a slightly more structured handbag or a structured piece of outerwear, just to balance out the relaxed nature of the athleisure outfit. Trend number 4 is one that my husband is going to be absolutely thrilled about, to be honest, as will most people that live in the English countryside, because it involves gilets. However, in particular this year, the main trend is fur gilets, of course, faux fur gilets, and we are seeing them all over. Well, I personally am seeing them all over my Instagram explore page. It's not just the catwalks that are inspiring our trends this year, it's Instagram influencers, it's celebrities, wherever you find your inspiration, that counts as a trend. But these fur gilets, I've found so many amazing ones at lots of different price points. You'll have seen a few little trend shoppable edits popping up on the screen, and they will all be linked in the description box down below, or if you're watching on the TV, which so many of you are doing now, which is so interesting, there'll also be little QR codes if you did want to shop anything that you see on the screen. But gilets are not only practical, comfortable and warm, a few of my favorite words, but they're a really fantastic fantastic way of adding layering and adding interest to an otherwise quite simple outfit. Now, I am loving, especially in the middle range, price point wise, of the high street, the incredible textures and design details that we are seeing. Something about those little almost horn-like toggles makes me think of Montana, Yellowstone, a trip that I'm desperate to make in the next couple of years. But also we're seeing some incredible long line gilets, teddy effects, lots of ornate embroidery on them, which give them a little bit of a Western style. I just absolutely love them, and I think that they are actually quite seasonless. Yes, it adds a great layer of warmth in the autumn and winter, but even in the summer, just adding perhaps a suede gilet. We saw the Ralph Lauren trend of the denim waistcoats last year. I think this is a bit of an evolution on that, and they look fantastic paired over a floral long sleeve summer dress too. While I think the neutrals are always going to be a winner when it comes to the gilets, the creams, the espresso browns and colours like that, I think we're also again going to see warmer tones such as burgundies and some really vibrant bright colours within fluffy gilets this year. Trend number 5 is actually more of a hem length than a trend, but it is maxi length. So expect column dresses and long line skirts. I used to wear so many long line skirts when I lived in London. For my days working in an office, I found them just very elegant and very, very practical. But as someone who's a little bit on the petite side, I'm probably 5'5", I think. It did take me a while to learn how to wear long line skirts, because if you get it wrong, they can really chop your body in half and create the illusion of an even shorter torso and shorter legs. So my top tip is to keep your top and your bottom half in the same, very similar colour if you are going to wear a long line skirt, and that creates the illusion of length rather than creating the illusion of chopped in half. We don't want any magic tricks going on here. But also column dresses can be incredibly flattering if you're slightly more on the petite side too. If you are lucky enough to have a little bit more length into your body, then you can get away with a lovely waist belt to create a beautiful silhouette. But actually, from the brands like Kate and Bottega Veneta, we saw really simple, clean silhouettes on the catwalk. They showed us how you can have this beautiful length while keeping it looking very elegant and effortless at the same time. What I love about a maxi length piece is not only is it a completely timeless trend, so one that you probably already have in your wardrobe, but they are so incredibly comfortable and universally flattering that it's definitely a trend worth investing in. Now, I really like trend number 6 because it can be interpreted in so many different ways depending on your personal style. And the trend is statement outerwear, and how this translates is really your coat being your entire outfit. So that could be the Max Mara iconic coats. I invested in one a couple of years ago, and my goodness, it is without doubt the most worn piece in my entire wardrobe. This is why I like to invest in more timeless pieces, because I'm all about that price per wear. I have been banging on about price per wear for probably the last 10 years. It's something that those of you that have been to my channel many times before will be very, very familiar with hearing. But then there are brands like JW Anderson which do really incredible, more statement silhouettes. Or if you want to be bold but keep it comfortable, then brands like Balenciaga that have the really oversized styles. But like I mentioned earlier, it's actually how you wear your pieces that's really how you can interpret the trends this year. So wearing your coat closed, done up, perhaps even with a statement belt, wearing your coat as the outfit is the main way of interpreting this trend in 2026. I was so thrilled to see so many trench coats on the runways, whether it was, and also lots of really classic colours like beige on the runways. Even brands like Celine with their incredibly colourful linings, and Saint Laurent. I love to see such timeless silhouettes coming out on the catwalk year after year. We saw 𝘿𝙤 really demonstrating how a trench coat can be your entire outfit with them tightly belted at the waist, and I absolutely loved the colour palette of the Givenchy trench coats that we saw on the runway. Chances are many of us have already got a trench coat in our wardrobe, but if not, I would be tempted to look to second-hand retailers like Vinted or Vestiaire Collection, because It's something that I used to hear my dad or my grandparents saying, and I used to roll my eyes at, but they really don't make things like they used to. And often these designs, which are maybe 10, 15 years old, you'll get some incredible quality, probably at the most incredible price. So I'd be tempted for something as timeless as a trench coat to really look to those second-hand marketplaces to add it to your wardrobe. The next trend is one that you could have predicted if you are interested in politics and the economy, because in times of economic and political uncertainty, which we are very much in, we often look very much to the past when it comes to the trends. So it's no surprise that a kind of retro revival is the next trend that we're going to talk about. And I find it funny, as someone who was born in the 90s, that the 90s is now considered retro. But yes, those trends, I'm seeing really fun ways of people interpreting this trend, probably not even on purpose. They're not even thinking that they're being on trend, but they accidentally are, such as those old school Casio watches and people using the old school Nokia kind of brick phones. And I understand why people are doing it. They want to almost have a digital detox but still be contactable without all of the procrastinations and interruptions that come with a modern phone. But even by having this old school phone, probably like the one that your grandparents have, that is accidentally on trend for 2026. But when it comes to clothing, I'm also seeing a lot of 80s inspired pieces, the bold silhouettes, the structured shoulders. I normally, when I get something with shoulder pads, take the shoulder pads out, but this year I'm gonna keep them in. I'm gonna be adding shoulder pads into my knitwear, into my coats, to really add a little bit of drama to my silhouettes. There's a bit of a power aesthetic coming through in the 80s trend, so that 80s workwear, perhaps those tailored trousers with a really beautifully fitted blouse. And then, almost completely contradicting what I said at the beginning of the video, loud, bold floral patterns that are a little bit retro, a little bit vintage. We're going to be seeing those coming into our wardrobes a lot in the summer season. So don't throw away your florals just yet. Just style them with neutrals to create some balance, and you'll be perfectly on trend for the retro revival movement for 2026. Trend number 8 is one that we spotted a couple of years ago, and randomly I spotted in a few people's Christmas decorations this year, and it is tassels. It's another one that interestingly we see appearing on the trend lists at various times of economic uncertainty. Maybe because it's fun, it's an easy way of embellishing your outfit and being on trend without having to spend a lot of money. So tassels and embellishment, we're talking fringing, we're talking tasseled bags, fringed skirts, fringed suede jackets. I think it's a really fun trend, and it's one that you can invest in a small and subtle way with your accessories without having to do an entire new outfit. I've seen quite a lot of really lovely tasseled bags, tasseled earrings. I probably wouldn't go as far as to invest in something like the Louis Vuitton neon tassels dresses, but each to their own. It's one of those trends that you can dip your toe in or go head to toe, whatever floats your boat. Trend number 9 is one that I really like because it's one that I almost find myself accidentally wearing, and it is library chic. Everyone from Celine to Tory Burch was doing this quite elegant librarian kind of style. We're talking long line midi skirts again, but paired with polo necks, maybe a little bit of layering with a neck scarf, spectacles, hallelujah. I now am a part-time spectacle wearer, having worn contact lenses for many years and then getting laser eye surgery. I now have to wear glasses again, and this is perfect timing with this trend coming up in 2026. Obviously, this trend was really big for Chanel, the very prim and proper tweed suits, but this time layered with lots of different necklaces, lots of bold statement jewelry pieces to really add individuality to the trend. We're going to see so many A-line skirts, but also pieces of this silhouette in lovely warm wearable colors like burgundies and navies and a really soft muted olive green. I think is going to be a great way of making this trend very wearable. A way of styling this trend in a very affordable way would be with a little silk neck scarf, which you can pick up from secondhand shops and online secondhand websites cheap as chips. I'll leave a few of my favorites linked down below. And the final trend that I did see on so many trend lists while I was researching is one that actually makes me incredibly happy because it encourages you to invest in quality over quantity, really beautiful, timeless pieces that you're going to use as building blocks for your wardrobe, and it is clean minimalism. Now, minimalism can mean different things to different people, as you can tell by how much stuff is in the background of this video. I haven't mastered it yet, but I would really like 2026 to be the year. And I think about what this represents, not only from our wardrobes but also from our mind. I'm reading a book all about wabi-sabi. If you know, you know. It's very, very hard to explain, but it talks a lot about how less clutter around us is so beneficial for our mind, especially if when you open up your laptop you've got a million tabs open, if you're constantly scrolling from app to app on social media, chances are we've got a million tabs open in our brains as well. So I love that the trend is really the antithesis of this in our wardrobes, keeping it very minimal, keeping it very simple, neutral colours, classic pieces like boxy tees, tailored trousers, simple knitwear, that you could have maybe 10 or 20 pieces that you wear on rotation, always look elegant, always look stylish, and these can be the pieces that you wear all throughout the year. So it's kind of the anti of this buy consumerism trend, which I think is why I'm really liking it as a key trend for 2026. I've seen people talking about mindful consumption, so thinking, am I going to wear this in 5 years time? Am I going to wear this in 10 years time? Or is it just for a party or just for one outfit? And I definitely think that people are going to be moving more towards those more mindful purchases, things that are going to stand the test of time as we move further into 2026. So a really nice one to end on, and it brings me back to what I was saying at the very beginning, that I do find that I am leaning away from trends more and more as time goes on. Chances are a lot of you won't be thinking the same thing if you've clicked on a trend video, but hopefully it's a little bit of food for thought. And for those of you that have been looking for subtle ways to bring trends into your existing wardrobe, then I really hope you found this video useful. Now, my darlings, everything that I've spoken about will be linked in the description box down below. Please let me know in the comments below, what is the trend that you are most looking forward to wearing in 2026, and are there any trends that you are going to be completely avoiding this year? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, found it interesting and useful, please do give it a thumbs up. I'll be back on Sunday with another vlog, so I'll see you then. Have a great week. Bye.